Today I want to talk about Jackson State and its one enormous problem. And all that's coming up after the bump.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about Jackson State football. And there's some negativity that I'm going to give you, but it is with some criticism. Criticism makes us better, but first I want to start with positives, right? Positives are, this was the first Jackson State home game on ESPN regular ever. Jackson State's been around since 1877, ESPN been around since 1979, but you get the point here. It is only the second time that Jackson State has been on ESPN regular ever. First time, 1989, when W.C. Gordon traveled up to Northwestern State and got a W in Natchitoches. Good for him, good for Jackson State. Toward the tail end of a really great period for Jackson State football that had a lot to do with W.C. Gordon, and also allows me to just kind of dovetail into this. You've seen a lot of red in the Jackson State uniforms this season. I particularly love it. I love the look, and I'm glad that they're doing it. In large part, to pay homage to W.C. Gordon during that time when Jackson State was really good, late 70s through to about 91. That red accent became a staple of his tenure with the program, and there are some Jackson State fans that feel some kind of way about it because they're used to the blue and white, and they died with the blue and white. But I'm here to tell you, the red looked good on you. It looked real good on you. It looks outstanding on you. What doesn't look outstanding is getting 34 dropped on your head by Southern. Now, another positive. It does not count toward the SWAC conference standings. It is a non-conference game. The Boom Box Classic, as they call it, because, you know, Southern Jukebox is Southern University in Baton Rouge. And, of course, the Sonic Boom is the Jackson State, these marching bands. If you're not up on it, you should go do a little bit of reading on that because this isn't that kind of podcast, but you understand. All right, so Southern wins 34-14, but there were some things that stood out to me. The first of which is, and this is the big problem, Jackson State can't stop the run, dog. Like, they've given up over 500 yards of rushing in the past two games, and 195 to one dude at Alabama State. They get Alabama A&M a couple weeks ago, right? They had the COVID week where PV A&M, a game I really wanted to see, actually, and I can't wait to see it, got postponed. But we're also talking about Jackson State going 1 of 8 offensively on third down. Meanwhile, Southern was 14-20. You're going to lose football games that way. I don't care if you got 2 interceptions in the first half like Jackson State did, right? You had one really outstanding offensive play from Dalen Baldwin that I posted about on Twitters, and then Jackson State proceeded to look bad offensively from there on out. Now, there are a lot of people that are like, they were missing offensive linemen the last game that they played. So, they offensive linemen at Jackson State. Y'all supposed to be good. But here's the other thing. You can't keep Jalen Jones upright. And we all know that Jalen Jones is a run-first quarterback in this offense. And when you started to try to get the ball to Alexander, it looked like he might come away with not a cool injury. Like, that man could not put any weight on his left leg, limped off the field. All while we lost 4 minutes of, like, game time action to commercials because ESPN had some sort of problem with the Jackson State game. And then we lost, like, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes of real time because the first down marker chain broke. And I'm like, this game is 34-10. There's 10 minutes left, but they ain't coming back from this. They had opportunities. They can't actually move the football. And then you take a look at what it actually was. Southern averaged 5 yards a carry, man, and put up 294 yards rushing against Jackson State. All right, that's 474 total yards they put up. That is the second straight game for which Jackson State has given up at least 450 yards of offense. That ain't going to cut it. That's not going to get you out of the division into the SWAC championship. And this was a program a couple of weeks ago that we all thought was going to do something historic, right? Off to its best start since 2011. If it had beaten Southern, been off to its best start since 2011. Instead, they fall to 3-2 when they were looking to go 2-4-1. And then look at time of possession. My God, Southern had the ball for 42 minutes and 49 seconds. What? No, you're not going to be able to do much with that, right? You got to have the ball, and you got to do something when you got the ball. So as good as Jalen Jones is, as good as Dalen Baldwin is, as good as Corey Reed is, as good as Ty Alexander was, you got to be able to move the football. Now, I'm inclined to tell you that the best group, the best unit that they possess over there at Jackson State is defense backs. They got a few ball hawks back there, and not all of them are Dejon Warren. Like Alexander Shaw is an absolute dude. He's going to play NFL football. But if you ain't got the mics and the wills to run with folks, and your defensive line keeps getting blown up off the ball, and you're going to keep getting run down by quarterbacks and tailbacks that I think you should be stopping, you're not going to have a good time this year. Like, I'm looking at, what is this? This is Gerard Sims went 17 carries, 79 yards. That's 4.6 yards per carry. And then, I guess the player of the game, honestly, in Ladarius Skelton, he had 6 attempts for 11 yards. Wasn't that great? And then, the man carried the ball something like 15 times. Yes, for 77 yards, 5.1 yards per carry. And then, they went with a 2-quarterback system there for a little bit, where we're looking at John Lampley out of Kennesaw, goes 9 of 14 for 116 with a TD. I mean, it's pretty good. But also, they had the ball. They had more time possession. They had more drives. They were able to do something when the ball got in their hands. And the 2 interceptions that should have hurt them didn't, right? One of them was just thrown into no man's land. And the other one was tipped, right? And it turned into a tip drill, like the Nelly song. There are ways in which Jackson State has shown me that they are good. But the ways in which they've shown me they are good happen against teams that ain't very good, right? Grambling doesn't know which way is up right now. That Mississippi Valley State team somehow was in it, right, toward the end against UAPB, I believe it was. Y'all gonna correct me in the comments here. But I look at the SWAC, and yes, there's no Alcorn State, and I understand that is the Texas to their Oklahoma. But we're going to go without in the spring. And then, the fall's going to be a lot more fun because Bethune-Cookman and FAMU join up in the SWAC. And I'm really looking forward to that. But all to say, you have an opportunity here to come out and still win a SWAC championship if you are Jackson State with the eyes of the nation on you. Like, this has been a great 3 months for HBCU sports and for HBCU football in particular. You got to do something with that. Now, that said, they're going to be a lot better in the fall than they are in the spring because they get all these dudes eligible and they get their true freshman class to come in and start playing right away. But I'm also saying you got to beat teams like Southern if you want to think you have an opportunity to win SWAC championships because Southern is good. Like, Southern's got the FCS active sacks leader right now on the squad. And I got to tell you, my man's was showing out, right? Dude straight up going after people and getting it in. And when I look at the defensive stats, it's really, they were able to put people on the ground in a way that Jackson State was not. And that matters. That matters. If you can wrap people up, put them on the ground, you're going to win more football games. I also understand that there's a whole bunch of people that are here for Coach Prime, and I'm cool with you being here for Coach Prime. But I also wanted to point you to being here for the school that is Jackson State because, as I mentioned, it's been around for a very long time. Like, it and PV A&M, for instance, have been around since 1877 after the Texas Constitution 1876 made way for the ag schools, and then in particular with PV A&M, right? Just to focus on them for a second. You had the board of 3 that oversaw the development of what would become Texas A&M by the Alta Vista Plantation, 40 miles north of Houston, where the matriarch had tried to turn that plantation into a school following the death of her husband and the end of slavery. And they grew rice, they grew cotton, they grew all kinds of stuff. And then you had Hempstead just down the road, which is a predominantly black community where many of the newly freed slaves went to go work and live amongst each other. And you put the school out there, and that's where we get PV A&M. And then you get the 4-year program in 1919. Finally get the change from what was the Prairie View State Normal School to Prairie View A&M University in 1973. But along the way, you have a tremendous amount of heritage. Southern, the first black school to win an integrated bowl game, and the first to play an integrated bowl game, 1948, in the Fruit Bowl against San Francisco State University. They won that game. Odie Posey out there running roughshod over people, and you all know about Al Mumford. So there's your little bit of history going into this, but being here for Jackson State also means being here for what might be a new stadium for them, or at least a study to look at a new stadium. So this just came out. The study would cost $250,000 to see if, Jackson State could build a new stadium and own that stadium, because that's also a big part of it, right? Jackson State does not own Veterans Memorial Stadium. It'd be very cool if the university were able to do that, right? The state has now approved $250,000 of the study that, or for the study that would cost to build, or what it would cost to build a new stadium or right near Jackson State. Ugh. So included in the budget is near $300 million bonds project ranging from museums to roads. Again, $250,000 that is going to be used to see if you can build a new stadium. I think it would be tremendous for Jackson State, be tremendous for that community, and perhaps start to build towards something that is special, if not just in FCS football, but in college football. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.